Hi, I'm Michael Wise, and this is BalletWise. I've had the opportunity to dance all over the world as a principal dancer. I've danced in big companies, small companies, little companies, good ones, and some bad ones. And over the years, I have been asked to give speeches and talk to people about not just my career, but what makes the best dancers. And 9 times out of 10, it comes down to your state of mind, how you think about it, how you're willing to work. So today we're going to have a very interesting topic, especially with the fact that we have performance season that's coming up. Many of you are probably going to start your nutcrackers. So we wanted to talk about something about what really makes the best performers that good. What is it about it? What is their mindset? How do they get to that place where they're confident to go on stage, where they can be free? And it does take an understanding and a work ethic. So let's just start with the basic idea of we put the time in. We rehearse, we do our classes, we work on our technique. And that in itself should give you some confidence that at least I know I can do X. Now, if you're not doing well in class, of course you're not going to be very confident about what you might do on stage because you're going to be questioning whether you did the technique right. So the first thing we have to understand is we have to train our bodies so that we can do what is required of us on stage. But be aware, I just said train your body, not your mind. We train our bodies. We shouldn't think about it. We do the work, we work the right way, and we will start getting the results. But if we overthink it or we get too far in our heads and we use our heads to discern how we do our technique, we will get to a point where it's hard for us to leave that space. To perform, you have to use our minds and we have to use all of our body. The best performers in the world, they put the time and the energy in to train their bodies. But they understand that they have to allow their minds to be free. Now, that comes about in a very particular way. We understand that without confidence, we're going to be lost on stage. But you and I have all seen these dancers. They're incredible technicians, but they look like cardboard on stage. And the problem is they didn't get out of their heads. Their problem is they've been using their intellect and their brains all the time to focus on technique. Now, I'm not saying that everyone can't be a great performer, but I am going to say that the majority of the great performers I know have the ability to separate out technique and performance. They are not mutually exclusive. You can have a great performer who's got lousy technique, and you can have great technique and a lousy performer. But the dancers that are the greatest on stage have this ability that when they're working on their technique, they're focused on their technique. But when they are performing, when they are in rehearsal, they disconnect. They disconnect from that state of mind. Now, I've said in some of my other videos that you pretty much have, everyone falls on a spectrum of how they are as a dancer. You have those that are more or less born into a chaotic mindset, and you have others that are born into a more disciplined mindset. People who are of the disciplined mindset most likely will develop technically better because their brain already understands to lock it down, to learn to control, to gain what is needed. But for them, they're uncomfortable in the chaotic. And performance is the chaotic. Now you have a lot of the great performers. Their brains are in the chaotic. And they have to learn to be disciplined. It doesn't mean that somebody who is with a disciplined mind cannot learn to be a great performer, but they have to eliminate the fear. The fear of not knowing what's going to happen. The fear of the impossible happening. The fear of failure. People who are from that chaotic mindset, when they go out on stage, well, they're in their element because the stage is chaos. Anything could happen and everything will happen. Mistakes will be made, people will fall, costumes will fail, props will fall off in the middle of the stage, there will be slick spots. There are going to be a multitude of problems that will develop. But those people that are in that more chaotic mindset kind of take it in stride because they thrive in the unpredictable. Now, the problem for them is they're probably not going to really be very good at hitting fifth position. The problem for them is being able to buckle down and really work on that technique. But the best performers are the ones that have found that balance in the middle. They are dynamic on stage because they are free. But when they're in the studio, they're disciplined and they almost have a hunger for that, a hunger for that technique. And I've met multitudes of students that they just have that spirit inside of them that would lead you to believe they're going to be a great performer. And then they go on stage and they shut down. It's not a personality trait. It's fear. The difference between a great performer, someone who wants to perform or is good at performing, is confidence and lack of fear. That confidence comes from knowing your technique will work, trusting that your body has learned it, and then being free to go places in their head, use their imagination, change their body, morph into something different, which they love. And those that are more disciplined, they know they have to learn to trust. Trust is not something we control. Trust is giving in. We have to learn to trust that our technique will work. And we also have to welcome the fact that the chaos doesn't seem to have the rules. I know dancers, great dancers, that are very disciplined, super technical, but over time they have developed that ability to go down the rabbit hole, to go into that chaotic space, to dream, to imagine, to create. And then there are the other ones that are very similar to me, who naturally are free on stage, naturally create on stage. But the problem with being that chaotic is quite often we just don't care about the technique because what matters to us is that freedom to create. So a lot of us that are more chaotic, we got to work extremely hard to get control of our technique. It doesn't come natural to us, but the performance does. So which one are you? Let us know. Are you the one that just focuses solely on your technique and expects to be able to walk out on stage and light it up? There's some bad news for you. No one's going to give you that opportunity. Because if we don't see that in the rehearsal, how are you building that trust with us? Why should I give you that opportunity if you keep saying, well, it'll show up on stage? Because there are going to be those people that come into that rehearsal and literally they look like a bull in a china shop. They're all over the place. Their technique's falling all over the place, but my God, do they go for it. They've got their own problems because they got to learn to control it. They need to back off a little bit. So you don't want either one. But it doesn't mean you're lost. If you're that child or that student or that dancer, and you're the one that's more technical in its mindset, spend some time challenging your fears. Spend some time imagining. Spend some time creating on yourself and letting go. You can find the magic in you and you can learn to release it. But it starts with you. It starts with you on the inside. It starts with you letting go of some of the control and being okay with it. Now, if you're somebody that's on the more chaotic side of things, you really need to calm down and focus on your technique. No one's going to question what you do out on that stage. The goal is that you can hit everything you're supposed to hit. So being dynamic on stage isn't everything it's always meant to be. The best of the best, their bodies have been trained to do that technique, and they have the freedom to explore, dance, and be something else. So if you want to be that kind of performer, you got to figure out what kind of person you are. Discipline is wonderful, but it has its problems. Chaos is crazy, but we got to get some control. Because if you want to be the best performer possible, if you want to work towards being one of the best when it comes to performing, you have to work on where you are at your weakest. And you have to trust that it will work for you when it's time. Fear is the enemy of everything in the arts. Fear holds us back. You want to be that performer? You can't have that fear. Every time I was about to go on stage, I'd stand in the wing, and we all feel that nervous energy. And for some people, the adrenaline that comes with it causes us to panic. I recognized that adrenaline rush. I recognized what it was. And every dancer has their rituals. Calming, soothing things that we do to get control of that initial rush, just standing in the wings. Some of us pray. Some of us go inside. Some of us just chomp at the bit. But at no time should you be afraid of that feeling. Because the reality is, your goal, when you walk out on that stage, is for you to feel like you've gone home. You're free. You soar. You get to be in that imaginary world. You get to be more than you actually are. You get to play. You get to feed off the energy of all of your audience. But remember, It's all about you and the feelings you're experiencing on that stage. We don't always dance to the audience, but we should always dance for ourselves. So hopefully this is something that's going to help you raise your bar, be a better dancer, and specifically, be a better performer. Now, I wish everyone the best when it comes to their Nutcracker season, whether you're doing a Nutcracker or you're doing some other show, or you're not doing any show. I do wish you all the absolute best, because I know it's a magical time for so many of us. And it raises our spirits. But this is also an opportunity for you to work on all of these things. If you're more disciplined and technical, learn to be freer. And if you're more chaotic, learn to get more control of it. But remember, we have to dance, and you have to be free enough to let that out. So hopefully this is something that's helped you. If this is something that you think helps you, give us a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. And I really ask you to subscribe, because there's going to be so much more that's going to come from this channel. And it's understanding where we have to be mentally to be the best dancer possible. Performance, understanding your technique, understanding how to find your way throughout this wonderful art form. So, all I can ask for you is keep dancing. And remember, be the best person you can be. Help others. And let's grow a community where we're welcoming and we can show the love that everyone deserves. I'm Michael Wise. This has been BalletWise. And I hope that we'll see you again.